on the road, man. Hopefully, you guys are doing well and had a good trading week so far. Looking forward to today's NFP trading session. If you're new to the NFP trading sessions that we do every single month, welcome. These are some fun sessions that we get to do once a month together, and normally we'll stream for CPI news as well, which is usually shortly after NFP, one of the following Wednesdays. So we'll look forward to that this month as well. But we are officially live on YouTube now too. So once this thing reaches max capacity on Zoom, we'll be still live on YouTube. So feel free to send that link out. Let me actually pop out the YouTube chat box here as well. Okay, boom, boom, boom. We got that pulled up. Amazing. Amazing, guys. Cool. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it, shall we? Let's go ahead and dive into it. Drop in the chat box where you're tuned in from if you haven't already. And I'm just gonna drop this YouTube link real quick as well, so that people have it for when we do reach capacity, because I have a feeling we're gonna reach capacity here pretty soon on Zoom. And just want to make sure everybody has, the right link to join. Um, okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, man, let me know in the chat where y'all are tuned in from today. Let's see. We got Dublin, Ireland in the house. Was good, Nathan. We got England, Nigeria, Mauritius, Zimbabwe, Germany, Hungary. We got Slovakia, Scotland, Sudan, I think I already said Zimbabwe, BC. We got Abuja, Nigeria, France. um, Someone just dropped in the chat. Nina. Shout out to Nina one time on the Slovakian team. Kamloops, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Glasgow, Philippines, but currently in Korea. That's cool. Norway, Ireland, Toronto in the house. Let's go, Czech Republic, Tanzania, Montreal. What's good out there? It's good to see you, bro. Paraguay, Romania, England. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome, man. We worldwide as usual. As per usual, Uganda. Cool, man. Teams out here. We're on fire, ladies and gentlemen. We absolutely are on fire. And yeah, man, I'm excited for today's session. Obviously, we've had a very, interesting and volatile week, to say the least. And, I'm curious to see what kind of opportunities we're going to get today to end off the week, considering, we had the whole war situation on the weekend. We had market open volatility. We've had, the classic bamboozle on gold, where everybody and their mom thought that gold was going to absolutely fly with the war situation. And what have we done? The exact opposite, right? The old bamboozle, ladies and gentlemen. Classic smart money doing what smart money does best, which is manipulating the perception that most people have of the market. And of course, moving to where the majority of the liquidity is lying. And so, yeah, excited to see what we have for NFP today. Let me actually pull this up on screen, and we're going to dive right into some analysis here. And let me just post this one more place real quick. Live for NFP. Boom. All right, cool, man. Sweet. Let's start recording this thing as well. Amazing. So we are now recording. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's go ahead and dive into it, fam. So we got, obviously, NFP is going to be releasing in about 40 minutes. So we got quite a bit of time before the actual news release. So we'll go over kind of the bias that I have for this morning's news, and then just share a few different points of interest that I'm personally looking at and considering. This isn't a double NFP. It's only for US dollar, but we do have a couple other, you know, um, news releases that are dropping alongside NFP that normally don't drop alongside NFP. So we have core retail sales as well as retail sales. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference to the volatility. I think it'll, if anything, it's just going to feed off of what the actual NFP, employment part of the release is going to be, stating. And if anything, we'll just have a little bit more volatility, but I don't think it's going to be that much, crazier. Usually my preference is to have USD and CAD dropping together. Today, we obviously only have USD, and then CAD, I believe, is next Friday. So, we'll see if maybe there's slightly less volatility as a result of that, but usually, it's not going to make that much of a difference. We'll still see the market go pretty crazy for NFP. For those of you that are newer to um, my live sessions when we're trading news, something that's important to note on news trading days is that the market is usually going to be pretty crazy at the time of news. So you want to be more conservative. You want to be more um, considerate of the risk at hand. Okay. And so, although there's opportunity for you to see TP smash in a very short period of time, it's also something to consider that you could experience slippage the other way. So if you have stop loss placed at a certain price and news volatility comes into the market, it's not going to be an unlikely scenario for you to get SL hit and not actually at the current price that you had set it at, but rather a greater price for a greater loss. So you want to consider, and really be conservative when it comes to using risk during, news trading days like NFP, like CPI, like FOMC with the interest rate news that comes out for the US dollar. Now, obviously, every news event is going to have a slightly different, effect and a slightly different amount of volatility. But NFP is known to be usually one of the most volatile news events of all news events. So, right up there with FOMC with interest rates, and then usually even more volatile than CPI. CPI can be pretty volatile as well, though. And we have that next Wednesday, I believe. So, yeah, so we'll be live next Wednesday as well for CPI. But with that being said, do with that what you will, man. Use your discernment, be wise in how much you're risking on trades. Usually for news trading days, guys, I'm using about 0.7% risk in terms of what I normally risk. So if I'm normally risking, $50 on a trade, I'm going to be risking 70% of that on a news trading day. And that allows room for slippage so that I'm never actually losing more than what I'm wanting to on any typical trade. Okay, this is obviously just an example, but you can approach the market in a way that makes sense or is perhaps similar to what I'm demonstrating in this example right now. So obviously, consider that there's obviously risk that's involved in trading news and also just in trading in general, right? But especially in trading news. So none of what I'll be sharing today is financial advice. This is just areas of interest that I'm considering for opportunities. And if you decide to take any opportunity, using your own free will, amazing. Hopefully you use proper risk management and you take full responsibility for any setup that you do take. But if you blow your account trading news today, I have zero, I don't want to say zero empathy, but I have a much less, considering I'm doing this whole disclaimer for the first 5 minutes of the session. So, please don't do anything stupid when you're trading news. All right. And, that way you're not ending off the trading week in a worse position than you started with no trading account. Because let's be honest, that sucks. And many of us have been there. And if you haven't been there, you probably will be in the future. Just the reality of things. So if you decide to full port and blow your account, just don't be that guy. All right. Just don't be that guy. And if you are going to be that guy or gal, hopefully it's not with more money than you can comfortably afford to lose. Okay, cool. With that out of the way, disclaimer done. Let's talk about the anticipation with news today. We're going to start with gold. We're going to take a look at a couple currency pairs as well, and go from there, man. So for me, the approach with news trading, and this is the same as I approach news and really just the market on any given day, to be honest with you guys. But is I like to look at and just identify the nearest areas of liquidity on the 15-minute and hourly time frames. And so if we're taking a look at the buy side liquidity above highs, we do have some considerable areas of liquidity, lots of swing highs kind of in this area on this move down. And then in terms of sell side liquidity beneath lows, we have really these two sets of relatively equal lows. And of course, the low from Tuesday that so far has been the low of the week, down at around 5K or like 49.95. And so for me, when we're taking a look at gold, a lot of people were anticipating gold to really be bullish this week after the whole war situation over the weekend. And we did see a considerable gap higher to start the week, and we traded higher to start the week on Monday as well. But we immediately sold off and got a huge, huge run on liquidity to start the week. We traded back down into a daily time frame fair value gap. There was inversion opportunities for buys out of Tuesday's price action. I'm not sure if anybody managed to participate in buys, but I did personally, and this was honestly textbook. If we have time later today during the session, I'll actually recap and go over that particular trade with you guys. Maybe in between the analysis portion and the actual news release, if we have time, we'll actually go over that because it was a really textbook trade from Tuesday. So I'll potentially go over that with you guys. But yeah, man. So that's kind of just a recap of where we're currently at. And so with the amount of liquidity that's residing in the market right now, and given the price action that's happened so far this week, my ideal for gold would be to see a run on these lows to continue in the overall bearish direction that we've been all week, and then get a reversal and look to target these highs. Okay. Because we have lots of buy side liquidity on the other side of all these highs from pretty much this entire week. And we've mainly been trading bearishly this entire week, other than like a little bit of bullishness to start the week, right? Weekly candle opens, we trade to create the high of the week. We trade to create the low of the week on Tuesday. We bounce, and now we're going to figure out, is this actually the low of the week, or do we have a little bit lower to trade? That will obviously be, unveiled today. But at the very least, I want to see a run on these lows. That would be the ideal scenario for me on golds. And then from there, we can look for potential inverse fair value gap setups to take buys and then look to target these highs, right? That would be the kind of Don's perfect world scenario. And there's not really a point of interest that I would look to set a buy limit on for golds. There's not like a super clean, FU candle that I'm looking for price to trade back into over here. If we go to the replay mode and take a look at the 5-minute, this is all pretty healthy price action. I mean, if we were to zone out these last two down candles, this is what we would be working with. And on the 15-minute, it's, not really anything. But we could see price trade down to mitigate perhaps this 5-minute area, which has yet to be returned to since that kind of last hurrah and then bounce. So yeah, man, something to consider. I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this. I'm going to set an alert at the low around 50.50. Okay, this is around 50.50, the price level 50.50. And yeah, man, that's what I would be anticipating. I'd like to see, run on these lows and then a bounce and look for potential buys. That's personally what I'm looking for. Full spike in the direction the market's been going the majority of this week, and then reversal. It's kind of the anticipation for today on gold. So that's pretty much it with gold, to be honest. There's not really much else to talk about for now. And we'll obviously come back to this closer to 8:30. Jumping over to Euro USD. We continue to be fairly bearish this week. Overall, the DXY has been quite expansive. And, I like the price action that we're seeing to continue higher. We had, a gap higher on Monday, and Tuesday also fairly bullish. We did finally take out this swing high on the daily time frame, which we've been anticipating for quite some time now, which is good. And this is giving more evidence that this is likely to be the spring on DXY on the daily time frame, where we're likely to trade and break to the upside and actually have a bullish rally for the next little bit, which would be great. It's kind of something that we've been waiting on patiently. And yeah, overall, the reaccumulation from Tuesday to Thursday, it's looking like we're getting ready to break out and trade to the upside quite nicely here. Assuming that we, do something similar to gold where we false spike in one direction and then continue, higher or lower. Majority of this week's been bullish, right? So I would like to see, a bullish continuation today, personally. Unlike gold, where we get a false spike in the direction of, the majority of price action this week and then a reversal, I'd actually like to see the opposite. I'd like to see the opposite on DXY ultimately. So some sort of a pullback to maybe fill this fair value gap. Maybe we sweep these lows as liquidity and then continue higher. That's kind of what I'd be looking for. And then if we take that same bias and approach it with something like Euro USD, this fair value gap is something that I would just be considering. Again, no limit. I wouldn't set a limit on this, just because there's, very easy liquidity for us to capture right above it. So it's like, if we were to get a move like this, it could very, very easily just run through the highs and then, potentially sell off. So that's why I'm not looking to set a limit on this, but this is an area that I would potentially consider, for shorts, right? That's kind of what I would be leaning towards on the DXY, or not DXY, but on Euro USD, based on the bias that we have for the DXY. And other than that, man, I mean, there's not really anything else that I would be looking at. Price action's been very bearish. We've been overall fairly healthy in the way that price has been developing, though. We traded into this 4-hour fair value gap, continued lower, and we've got this fair value gap left behind on the hourly, and you can also see it on the 4-hour time frame here. And as what we also have these last two up candles or order block in the same zone. So something to consider. I'll set an alert at this. Start of the fair value gap is at like 115,850-ish. That price level, if you guys are wanting to, set alerts in the same zones. And yeah, man, daily time frame perspective, I would love to see a run on Tuesday's low. I think this is Tuesday's low, right? Yeah, Tuesday's low. And potentially even make a move towards these lows going into next week or maybe today. I mean, let's see, man. Let's see, maybe today as well. If we don't get a retracement into this fair value gap with news and then continue lower, I would be anticipating a move lower and then potential reversal to go and attack these highs. So it's really, anytime I'm looking at the market, I'm always looking to see what are the two main scenarios that I'd be looking for. So we have this one where price trades higher, mitigates or kind of fills this fair value gap and continues lower. Or we go lower, capture these lows, or this low, really, it's just one low. And then maybe we have the other two daily time frame lows as well. And then potentially get a reversal to target all of these highs, because there's a lot of buy side liquidity above these highs, to be fair. So those are the two scenarios that I'd be looking for on Euro. GU, very, very similar. Oh man. Let me tell y'all something about this. So this is like, it's kind of like a meme, but it actually works sometimes as well. If you are in a position, I had one of my boys, we were in Orlando last week. Shout out to Blake one time. And we were there until Tuesday this week. And he was in shorts on GBPUSD. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm in shorts. I think he took shorts from up here. Nice mitigation play. It's a pretty nice play, actually. Pretty nice trade. We had a bunch of lows, right? And so I was like, dude, you just got to use the S tier tool that almost guarantees your TP getting smacked, which is the magnet. And so you go over the shapes, you grab the magnet tool, and you just throw that bad boy on there. And the bigger you make it, the more likely it's going to work. Obviously, saying this as more of a joke than anything, but it worked, so it's just another instance of the magnet tool actually working. All right. It's another instance of the magnet tool working. So if ever you're, looking to add a little bit of steam, behind your trades, add a little bit of fuel to the fire, just grab that magnet tool, man. The magnet tool works. There's also the penguin. Don't get me started on the penguin, man. All right. The penguin, if you know, you know. Okay, this guy's the real deal. Pengu over here, bro. If he's like, I'm gonna try and see if I can show you guys an example of where you would use the penguin. Okay, the penguin is something you would use here, and you actually flip them upside down. All right, this is called the inverse penguin right here. All right, when you've got more or less something that looks like this, and you're anticipating price to go lower, you're looking for a mitigation play, this is where the penguin comes into play. All right, he's actually the inverse penguin, right? We don't really use, the right side up penguin, more of the inverse penguin kind of guy. But jokes aside, the magnet works too, to drag price to a certain area from time to time. Anyways, yeah, the hammer magnet combo is really good too. Yeah, if you're really looking at a little bit of fuel to the fire, man, you throw a magnet on, and then you also grab the hammer, which I don't think I actually have in my recent tools. The hammer is right here. All right, so you hammer that shit from where your entry is. Okay, you got to make sure you actually hammer it though. If you just put the hammer on, that's not good enough. You got to drag it and go like this. Boom. Right? You gotta be you gotta be hammering, you gotta be whacking that thing from wherever you're taking shorts. And then when you got the magnet there, down there, you're good to go, man. This is how to become profitable in 2026. All right. This is how to do it. You just got to throw on the hammer tool, man. You got to put in some reps. Okay. You can't just throw it on there casually. You got to put in some reps, have the magnet tool, and you're good to go, man. That's all there is to it, man. People ask me what my strategy is. This is, the inverse fair value gap indicator is one thing, but this is on another level. You know what I mean? Um, anyways, so it worked for GU. Ultimately, you can see it worked. We took out these lows, and ultimately, with what we've seen so far this week, we didn't get a pullback to this area. I was looking for a pullback to this area initially, but taking a look at where we're at today, we have these swing lows. Okay, similarly to Euro USD, we also have these swing highs. And so really, we're just going to wait for a sweep of one side of liquidity and look to take a position and target the other side. It's very, very simple. Same thing, right? If we take out the lows, look for buys to target the highs. If we take the highs, look for sells to target the lows. All right, very, very simple. Again, no, key point of interest on like a higher time frame that I would set a limit on. I don't mind this back here. It's like a fair value gap that we already kind of mitigated, though, to be honest. We already kind of filled that fair value gap. So yeah, I would, again, just kind of be looking at smaller time frame inversions if and as to when we end up taking out one of these sides of liquidity, all right, whether it's the buy side or the sell side. So I'm going to set an alert at around 133,800, which is the highs. And then I'm also going to set an alert at this low, which is at around 132,975. All right, so yeah, man, that's what we're looking for ultimately is a run on these lows in the form of liquidity and then also potentially a run on these highs. All right. And again, very, very simple approach, very, very simple, setup. Either we take the highs first and then we sell to take the lows, or we take the lows first and we buy to take the highs. Okay. Pretty much the same thing as Euro, but Euro is looking a little bit weaker than GU because we've already taken out Thursday's low, whereas GU has yet to take out Thursday's low. This is Thursday's low right here. So we're seeing divergence. Okay, not a divergence that would lead me to take a position right now, but we are seeing slight weakness on Euro in comparison to GBP. All right, but yeah, man. So that's EU and G. If we take a look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is something that we've seen develop quite nicely since this whole war debacle as well. News is the excuse, right? What do we talk about? We're trading news today with NFP. Okay. News is the excuse for the market to do what it was going to anyway. It's just faster. What did we have marked up last week? Right? We had this marked out. Hourly time frame perspective, fair value gap and order block overlapping 3 different lows in the form of liquidity. And this is where we were on Sunday. Or actually, no, not Sunday. Sorry. This was where we were on. We didn't trade Friday last week, did we? When did I draw this? Friday. What was this? Friday the 27th. I don't think we traded the 27th. Yeah, we just had PPI news. I don't think I traded this live. Yeah, I don't think we traded this live. So maybe it was on I think I just adjusted these arrows. I'm pretty sure I drew these on Wednesday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we drew this on Wednesday's live session last week, which was like right around here. So this was like before we ended up taking out these highs. But either way, I was wanting to pull back to this particular point of interest. So what do we see at 1 a.m. on Saturday when this whole, oh my gosh, you know, this guy's bombing this place, these people are doing these things, and it's like, this, that, whatever. Whole war situation. Oh my gosh, Dubai of all places is getting, you know, attacked. Man, people moving out of Dubai. Oh my gosh, craziness. All that was the excuse and the catalyst for in 1 hour, Bitcoin to sell off, capture pretty much all these lows, 1, 2, 3 hourly time frame areas of liquidity, fill this fair value gap, bounce, and continue higher. Okay. The news was the excuse for price to do what it was going to and basically programmed to anyways. It just happened a lot faster. And then at the start of the week, when everybody thought that gold was going to continue absolutely flying, they also thought that the indices and crypto was going to continue absolutely dumping. What do we see? The opposite. So again, news is the excuse for the markets to do what they were ultimately going to anyways, but with even more liquidity on the other side of the market, with everybody anticipating the opposite of what actually ends up going down. This is what we call a bamboozle. This is what we call smart money. Smart money is thinking in a very different light, operating in a very different light. And there's this saying, and it's like the 10th, I believe it's the 10th man. Hold on. The 10th man rule. That's what it's called. All right. And the 10th man rule states it's essentially the whole concept behind it is a decision-making strategy designed to prevent groupthink by ensuring that a contrarian viewpoint is formally included in group discussions. This is like obviously, it's kind of different from the context we're using it in right now. But it basically states that if 9 out of 10 people in a group agree on a decision or course of action, the 10th person has duty to challenge that consensus, even if the idea seems to be sound or widely accepted by the rest of the group. So it's basically like what this fish is doing. It's observing the masses and doing the opposite. So when everybody and their mom is talking about gold continuing higher on Sunday night with market open, and it did very short temporary, very short term, short lived. It's this. It's observe the masses, do the opposite. Bitcoin, same thing. Indices this week, same thing. Okay. We did trade lower into Tuesday, but what did we do the rest of the week? We actually traded bullishly on NAS. Same thing, S&P, same thing. Well, not so much same thing with Dow Jones. Dow Jones is still kind of weak. All right. But again, it's that observe the masses, do the opposite concept. So we fill this fair value gap on Saturday. Unfortunately, I was asleep, did not participate in this move, but this was textbook. Okay. We absolutely flew. Absolutely flew. And we're finally starting to see, the potential beginning of a breakout. Although I must say, I don't love this kind of top on the daily time frame. It's very easy for us from here, to be honest, on Bitcoin, to create a short-term high and this thing melt. And the reason I say that is because we just took out a bunch of buy-side liquidity with that move. This was on, I believe, Tuesday, or no, Wednesday in this particular scenario. So I'm a little bit wary of that. Obviously, ultimately what I'd like to see on Bitcoin is this, but honestly, I don't know if we're going to get this. This is like becoming more and more far-fetched as we're, getting closer to the end of the first quarter, which is, at the end of March, right? Because we're going to be bearish on Bitcoin until, October, basically. That's the duration of the bear market, the anticipated duration of the bear market. And so We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Weekly time frame, as Nathan just stated in the chat box on Zoom, we did trade into the 50% of the weekly time frame fair value gap with this move. And so that could very well be enough for us to continue lower. And also, from a break and retest trader's perspective, just kind of more or less, actually not quite, but close, traded to this short-term low and also the previous area of quote unquote resistance from back here. So I mean, not that that really has anything to do with how we're thinking or looking at the market from a smart money lens, but weekly time frame fair value gap fill could be significant in us seeing this thing actually absolutely roll over and continue lower, very similarly to what we saw back here. Okay. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be opposed, though, to price trading a little bit higher. I wouldn't mind us trading into this fair value gap on the weekly. And, you know, as I mentioned, potentially get up into here, this weekly time frame, last up candle prior to this down move. That would be amazing. That would be amazing, man. I don't know if we're going to get it. I doubt we're going to get it, to be honest, based on the fact that we haven't seen it so far. But hey, a lot can happen in like 3-4 weeks. We could see this thing bullishly expand and everybody and their mom think that, Bitcoin's going into another bull run. Oh my gosh, the bull run's not over yet. There's hope. We're back in $90,000 Bitcoin. That's only $30,000 away from the previous all-time high. And then we continue dumping because, again, observe the masses do the opposite. So that's the thought process on Bitcoin. Now, taking a look at today. Okay, taking a look at today and where that leaves us. With the thought in mind that this could be, a short-term high before price continues to fold and roll over, I'd like to see, this is similar to gold, a false spike in the direction that the price was going the majority of the week and then reversal. So we've been bullish majority of this week. So I'd like to see a potential false spike higher on BTC. We have a beautiful order block here to take sells from, to then take shorts and guess what? Target liquidity, right? Target lows. Okay. I don't know if we're going to, see this all in one day, right? Might just be like this low getting taken and this low. But hey, we got some other lows that are clustered that are kind of close together here. And this to me is a pretty nice point of interest. All right. We've got liquidity before the point of interest, right? The market trading to capture liquidity and mitigate this area to then trade lower and capture the other side. So that's kind of the perspective on BTC. I'm not too sure how many of you actually trade BTC, but this is kind of the thought process and 4-hour time frame perspective. I mean, this is pretty textbook as well. All right, beautiful order block on the 4-hour. You could actually consider setting a limit on this. I'm not personally going to. I'm just going to watch price action develop, but you could. Beautiful 1 to 3, just using the parameters that you'll be able to see on the right-hand side of the chart. Okay. One, or not one, but 73,500 more or less for stop loss price. Entry price 72,000 more or less. And then TP 67,400. So 1 to 3, you could consider setting a limit on this if you'd like. This is like the only setup of all the analysis we've done this morning that actually would look to see this play out. Who is bombarding my chat box? Oh, I love it when people bombard my chat box and get absolutely removed from the call. Report to Zoom. Get this guy out of here, dude. See you later, man. See you later, man. Let me, I'm going to co-host somebody. Who wants to be my co-host real quick? Dayton, I'm giving you co-host. Can you moderate the chat box for me? And just delete the messages that this guy just dropped? Hello, John Fast. Hello, John Fast. Hello, John Fast. Like, what are you saying, dude? Who's John? Walker and Marjorie, I'll co-host you guys as well. It's like, dude, if you're gonna, drop some spam in my Zoom chat, at least like be enticing, This guy's tripping. Get him out of here. See you later, dude. wasn't a fan of Big D. I think he was. I think that's why he's here, to be honest. He's trying to I actually have an impersonator on Telegram as well. Did you guys see that? I actually this is what I'll do. When I have impersonators and stuff, some of you got messaged by him. And I'm really grateful that nobody, to my current knowledge, actually got scammed by this guy. Um, but it's wild what people will do to impersonate and try and take advantage of, your students or your following, man. Because this guy was, reaching out to a few of you and obviously trying to take advantage. Um, and I messaged him, I actually politely messaged him before he blocked me on Telegram. I messaged the account from my real account and I said, "Hey man, I'm going to ask you nicely to stop impersonating. God bless you. I love you. I'm wishing you all the best. And I know you'll make the right decision." He made the wrong decision. He continued to impersonate. He actually went out of his way to pay for Telegram Premium to get the blue check mark, which I don't have on Telegram. Okay. I have like a Bitcoin logo on my real Telegram, just so y'all know. It's a very, very crazy way to impersonate, and it looks very legit. But I mean, the conversation's like this guy's a doorknob trying to, get people to do things that I would never get people to do. It's just wild. Um, anyways, he didn't stop. Long story short, in fact, he took it a step further. So I messaged him again. I said, "Hey man, I asked you politely once. Now we're going to go public with this thing and blast it everywhere, and you're going to have a way harder time doing this to people." And then he blocked me, and then I blasted it on my Instagram, blasted it all over my social media. So wishing him all the best, man. Honestly, I pray for him. And you know, anyways, let's continue with the session. But we're doing something right, I guess, because it doesn't something like that doesn't just happen, you know, unless we're doing something impactful or something real. So yeah, trade recap from Tuesday. Should we go over the trade recap? We have about 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes before NFP news release. Do you guys want me to go over the recap from Tuesday's buys? Would you guys want me to go over that? Let me actually check out the YouTube chat real quick. Let me see. Is anybody talking on YouTube? Hey, my YouTube family, what's good? Gold is dumping SMT at the highs on the 4-hour. Yeah, there is considerable SMT. Yeah, I mean, I'll be down for that, man. If we dump, that'd be great. That'd be great. He's talking about this SMT right here on silver and golds. You can see, actually, wait, is that it? Hold on. Am I tripping? Oh, no, that's not SMT. That's literally just, much weaker lower high on silver. What SMT are you talking about exactly on the 4-hour time frame? Because they're both looking fairly similar on the 4-hour from what I'm seeing, just going back and forth. Yeah, I'm trying to find the SMT on the 4-hour. Let me know. Let me know in the YouTube chat. Okay, cool. So let's go over the trade recap from Tuesday. Tuesday was pretty textbook, I'll be honest. We talked about it, in advance. But let me pull this up on a clean chart real quick. So first things first, okay, daily time frame perspective, right? We usually will go over and take a look at the daily time frame like once or twice a week, as price is developing. And obviously, we're doing live sessions inside of Primeverse on Sundays and Wednesdays. And then we do these pop-up sessions as well. So last week, we were considering this daily time frame fair value gap to get traded into, and we did subtly trade into it. But I had stated that, hey, it's possible we could get a deeper retracement into this entire fair value gap, or at least the 50%. So that was already stated and on the table, and that was something that was kind of on the radar screen, we'll say. Okay. And so when price action starts developing on Tuesday, and we see this, massive sell-off, all right. And this was a considerable sell-off. I mean, this was, seriously, pretty significant sell-off here. Okay, this is the daily time frame fair value gap. As we continue to see price develop going into New York session, we absolutely melt. We get an initial bounce. There was an inverse fair value gap buying opportunity in here around 6 a.m. Not going to go over it because the main one that I ended up taking was around 10 a.m. Okay, so you can see hourly time frame in hindsight. This is what we ended up seeing. Okay, this is hourly time frame in hindsight. The first thing that we're looking for on a setup is a higher time frame point of interest, ideally, and a higher time frame liquidity capture. So when you have all these lows on, the hourly time frame getting swept relatively quickly, and we're trading inside a daily time frame fair value gap, which is very, very responsive for reactions of like 3, 4, 500 pips consistently, at the very least, if not, a full-on continuation to like new price discovery. This was like certainly a setup that I was looking to potentially take. So if we drop now to the 5 minute and the 3 minute and the 1 minute, which are the time frames that we're looking at to consider inversions, okay? What is the rule of thumb for inversions? Who wants to drop in the chat and let me know? What is the rule of thumb? We have the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute to consider. What is the general rule of thumb when using the inverse fair value gap indicator, at least in Don's perfect worlds? What are we looking for in particular to justify taking a setup, right? 1 minute, then 3 minute or 5 minute. Exactly. So the 1 minute is always going to precede and be the first time frame to give an inversion. Okay. If we're looking at, in this particular scenario, the daily time frame fair value gap for price to bounce out of, we want to see a bullish inversion. All right. So technically on the way down here, we had the first, bullish inversion right here on the 1 minute time frame. This is at around, just before 10 a.m. If we jump over to the 3 minute, though, actually the 3 minute gave it too, now that I think about it. 3 minute, 5 minute, 5 minute didn't give it, 3 minute did. So this was the first inversion. And you'll notice that we end up consolidating a little bit, and then price actually ends up invalidating the first setup. Okay. If we take a look at the next sequence of price action, and this is where the entry actually came from for me. This on golds looks as such. Silver, what do we have? I'm going to keep going back and forth until somebody drops it in the chat. This is like, when we're looking for this particular thing, this is like textbook example of it. Textbook example of it. Divergence, exactly. So again, divergence is always going to be like a tertiary confirmation. It's not like the main thing. We're going to keep the main things the main things. But this is like, a pretty easy to see and recognize divergence, right? Or SMT, smart money technique, as it's sometimes referred to as. So silver creates a higher low, gold creates a lower low. And then we get an inversion on the 1 minute, which then leads to, and the 3 minute, actually, now that I think about it, 3 minute, 5 minute, I don't think got inversions until higher up in price. So this actually ended up being a 1 minute time frame entry, which, kind of is not my usual go-to. Maybe the 2 minute gave an inversion. Yeah, 2 minute, not even an inversion either. So this is kind of like a little bit more of a rare setup where we don't have 3 minute and 5 minute offering, longs. It was literally just the 1 minute here because there just wasn't a fair value gap that was created on the 3 minute or 5 minute to be inverted here, really. So yeah, 1 minute time frame, we see a drive to take out these lows after the initial inversion was given. And again, sometimes when you're taking inverse fair value gap setups, you will take an L, take a loss before you take, a win. And this is just an example of that. And I think we're on the wrong data feed here again. Here we go. Boom. This is what we want. So daily time frame fair value gap, you can see this. We're consolidating a little bit. We sweep the lows. We get that divergence. We get this 1 minute inversion. Okay. That was enough for me to take this trade on the 1 minute time frame. And also considering the fact that the 3 minute and 5 minute didn't have, fair value gaps for us to invert. So this ended up being a setup where I did justify the trade just on the 1 minute time frame. And my entry actually came before the inversion even took place. I saw this price action. I acknowledged the divergence. My entry came on this wick right here. And I'll actually show you guys a picture of this just so you guys know I'm not capping. Um, you know, for whatever reason, if you guys think there's cap in the wrap, I'll show you guys the exact entry. And you guys will kind of see what I'm referring to, what I'm talking about here. So this was the exact, and I did take an attempt and a jab at that first inversion, by the way. You'll see that right here. Okay. You can see the first inversion, the attempt at the first inversion was entered into here. So I actually got hit out on that one. We saw that sell off. You can see the entry. This is the 3 minutes time frame from entry to exit, and then we have the 1 minute time frame entry came on that wick. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but this is that same price action. Okay, sell off, fair value gap left behind. The way I was seeing price action developing here, this was already like a pretty significant move, like a couple hundred pips. And I was like, okay, cool. Next candle, I believe, was also the start of a 5 minute candle. We'll take a look at that and confirm in a second. But as soon as we got that wick lower, I took a jab at the buys, and this thing went from, pretty much entry to TP over the span of a couple hours while I was on a flight, which is pretty dope. And TP was based off of an area of liquidity that I'll go over with you guys right now. This wasn't a trade that I called an insights. No, this was just a trade that I took independently. But the whole idea and the premise behind the setup was something that, we've been talking about on sessions, and the zone that we took the trade from, we've been talking about on sessions for quite some time, right? So the TPs that are given on the indicator by default, 1-to-1, 1-to-2, and 1-to-3 risk to reward. The main exit that I had on this trade was at 47, which was this particular high. And we have news releasing in like 30 seconds here. So we're almost done with this trade recap. But that's what justified the buy. Price continued higher, right? This is where I went break even as soon as we took out this high at 50.70. And that was right here. So at this point, trade went break even. And yeah, from there, just continued to smack TP all the way at 50.47. But news is here, so we're going to take a look at and see, what's going on with NFP. So we're seeing gold trade higher, interestingly enough, to start off with the NFP release. So we're considering these highs as liquidity. I don't know if we're going to have enough gas in the tank to reach through all these, to be honest, on gold. Maybe. And then euro, we're seeing trade higher, which was anticipated. And then GU, we're seeing trade right to the previous high. So I would be curious to see shorts on euro. What about, yeah, BTC is not really doing a whole lot. I'd be curious to see shorts on euro USD potentially. And I'm going to pull this up and see what it's looking like on PU real quick. What was the actual release? Yeah, weaker release. Weaker release. So yeah, 830 obviously just dropped like a minute and a half ago. We're seeing false spike. This is looking like a false spike higher. This was about a 30-40 pip move. Yeah, 35 pip move. So we could see rejection just right from here on Euro USD, to be honest. GU, I wouldn't be set on seeing this reject from here. I would probably want to see an actual like official sweep of these highs. So we could see something similar on euro where with a false spike higher, we actually trade back a little bit higher and then continue lower. So I'll be looking for inversions. That's going to be what justifies an entry here for me on euro. So over the next like 20 minutes, watching how price develops, we could just melt from here, to be honest. And the reason I say that is we've just captured pretty much all the liquidity from London session. Well, technically, these are London session highs. But the pre-New York session liquidity, these highs we've just swept on euro. And we obviously have you know, lows that we can target here, right? So that would be the anticipation. What did we get on DXY? DXY, we saw, yeah, spike lower to capture some liquidity and ultimately fill this fair value gap. I would love to see price reject from here, to be honest. That would be ideal for sure. For sure. So let's see how the next 5-10 minutes play out. I'm not going to rush into a position here. I'd like to, if I was going to take a position on this, the way I would structure it would be on the smaller time frames, or for those of you that, maybe want to take a position just based on the higher time frame perspective. I mean, the risk to reward's not going to be great, to be honest with you. So I would say to just structure it on the smaller time frames, but you're going to get about a 1 to 2 at this low if you take it off the 50% of the hourly. So something to consider for euro, something to consider. And again, GU, I'd want to actually see like a proper run on these highs, unless we got it on a different data feed. Okay, so we did get it on a Wenda data feed. We did see it. Pepperstone, we're seeing it as well. So it's looking like just FXCM made equal highs. We get it on PU. Yeah, PU prime, we got it too. Yeah. But again, I'm gonna be looking to justify setup with an inversion on the smaller time frames. That would be ideal. Like if we were to get a 1-minute inversion of this, which we could very well see shortly, that would be of interest for me to take shorts. And then Goldilocks, we're seeing a run on the first high. I'd be curious to see if we reject from here, to be honest. I mean, we swept the first high. There's a little fair value gap in here. I don't know how much relevance this really has, to be honest. But I mean, if we're going to see a rejection, there's also an order block kind of in the same zone that we maybe reject from, But to me, it's like just all this liquidity, I feel like is way too easy to get captured. So again, we're not gonna jump into a setup. We're gonna just be patient. We have lows to target. I'll be looking for those lows to be taken out. And ideally, we get an entry between now and like 8:45. That would be kind of the ideal timing for a setup on gold. Same thing with Euro USD or GBP USD. You know, but again, just gonna wait for these to develop more. I'll set an alert rate at the 50% on Euro, so we'll get notified if that ends up getting traded into. And then I am watching the smaller time frames on my phone as well, to see if we get an inversion. When you have a news reaction like this, the inversions are usually going to take place on like the 1-minute time frame. And you would take an entry off the 1-minute time frame, because for the 3-minute or the 5-minute, it's going to literally be like the news fair value gap that you have to see taken out or traded through. And usually that, you know, uh, gives you a way less ideal risk to reward ratio. So yeah, we'll probably be justifying an entry on like the 1-minute if we do end up taking one. So we got to run on both these highs for gold. That's nice. It's nice to see. The last area of liquidity that I'd be looking to take out is Thursday's Asian session highs, potentially here. But we don't need to see that. We don't need to. We could just, flip from here. We'll see. Euro just gave inversion on the 1-minute. If we pull up the parameters, this is what you're working with. I would definitely be accounting for spread on this, adding like 2-3 pips on this particular setup for Euro. And I do like this, and I will be taking this personally. But again, adding a little bit of spread on the top side. So probably like 950 would be my stop. 115, 950 is what I would be looking for on Euro USD. So I'm going to take this, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, use proper risk. Um, be mindful as a 1 minute entry. We could see price trade higher for that 50% of the hourly fair value gap. But yeah, man, I'm going to take a jab at this. Why not? Why not? We might get, invalidated pretty quickly if we do get invalidated. But I'm not going to trip if that ends up being the case. And I'm personally in there. And then, yeah, I would look to, at the very least, see TP2, if not TP3, on this particular setup if we do end up seeing it play out. So, you know, let's see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. GU is, yeah, doing something fairly similar. I'm personally not going to take that on GU. Euro has more weakness at the moment, based on what we were seeing in terms of that divergence, and even just like um, the reaction that we had with NFP. This obviously was a considerable move on Euro and GU, but for Euro USD, it's creating a lower high than GU did. GU created like relatively equal highs, as you guys maybe recall. So it's looking like we might see this first jab at Euro USD taken out, based on how we're currently seeing price develop. And I'm not going to be opposed if that's the case, because we could potentially get another jab at this going into the deeper half of this fair value gap. So if this does end up getting, taken out, I'm not going to be sweating. I'm not going to be tripping over it. I'm just going to be looking to take another inversion if and as to when we get it. So we'll see, man. We'll see. My SL is at 950. So again, accounting for spread. So we'll see if this gets traded to. It's looking like we will see that get traded to be honest. The initial inversion is now getting invalidated on the 1 minute. But again, we'll see if spread is if the SL price at 955 or 950 is going to be triggered or not. If we were going to play devil's advocate here and see price continue higher, we would want to see this fair value gap that was just created get respected. If we don't see that, then this to me is just potential, manipulation, and we might even have a divergence here. Yeah, I mean, not like the craziest divergence in the world between EU and GU, but let's see, man. I mean, let's see. I'm still in there. I didn't get hit out with my SL at 950. I don't think anybody should have. I mean, maybe if you have like really widespread, but this was, 2.5 pips from where my SL was placed at 950. When I see price action develop like this, guys, I just want to be, clear about something as well. This is like not ideal price action. Like when you take an inversion setup, you want to see like movement in the right direction. When I don't see that, I'm not closing early. I'm fully just going to wait for my SL to get hit. And if it gets hit, great. -1R, big deal. I'm not going to close out prematurely based on unfavorable price action because of literally this, what we're seeing right now. Like if I had my SL at this price and not accounting for spread, I would have been hit out. Because I accounted for spread, I'm actually, miraculously so far being rewarded for that and not out of this trade. And this might end up, still playing out. But if I just closed because I didn't like price action, I wouldn't be in the trade anymore. So it's kind of like, I don't know, just something to consider, right? Same play happened with Goldilocks. Did we see an inversion on the 1 minute for gold? I'm going to set an alert of this because I don't really want to stare at Euro, to be honest. Let's go take a look at some other pairs. Yeah, Goldilocks did the same thing. So we just got an inversion on the 1 minute on gold too. This is something that I think we could potentially see. Oh man, this is tricky on gold because we could definitely see this thing react from current price. I mean, we took out pretty considerable buy side liquidity. Like we took out all these highs, literally all these highs on the 5 minute. So a lot of liquidity was captured on gold for sure. So I do see the potential for us to get a sell off. I'm really just slightly reluctant of these highs getting swept too, but I think we could definitely get a short-term setup here on gold as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, we're a little bit late to this one. This one's looking like it might just smack without us. But yeah, the 3 minute again. The 3 minute would have to be like this whole news fair value gap. But yeah, we had a pretty clean. This is a pretty clean setup, man. There's your, inverse fair value gap. Notice how when we get the inversion, price retests it. That's sometimes something you'll see with inversions as well as price retest and trade back to the fair value gap and reject to continue lower. You wouldn't want to see a retest more than once, usually. Like, this would be the only retest you would want to see. You wouldn't want to see price keep returning to this. But what could be happening right now is just mitigation of this little order block to continue lower. And it's looking like Euro might trade back up to SL price. I'm just looking at it on my phone here. Again, not going to be closing early, just literally going to let it, do its thing, play out. If it's an SL, great. If it's a TP, great. Unfazed regardless of the outcome. Usually after the first 30 minutes of a news release, there'll be reversal opportunities. Usually it's like 15 minutes to 30-minute mark. You'll usually see some reversal opportunities from news. But yeah, we'll see if that ends up playing out, man, because we could just get some chop like crazy between now and 9 a.m. And then 9 a.m. is the time when we're actually going to see some proper movement and reversals or retracements of the news reaction. Oil is absolutely flying, is it? US oil. Oh wow, look at that fair value gap fill on the hourly. Was this at 8 a.m. fair value gap fill? Yeah, oil's looking pretty bullish. We didn't really get much of a reaction at 8:30 though. It's interesting. Very interesting. Gold might have been the better short, to be honest. Based on what we're seeing, this is looking like it's probably gonna play out a little bit nicer than Euro so far. I mean, the Euro is just chopping around. We're still technically it's not the ideal entry. And I'm gonna be honest, like this is another thing too with currency pairs. You almost want to just take a higher time frame play because they are very choppy on the smaller time frames and very slow on the smaller time frames. So us justifying the sells from this is like these are the not the right parameters. The parameters we had are from back here, but we're just seeing back-to-back inversions over and over again here right now, consolidating. Um, the 1 minute time frame because it chops like this and is more slow moving than something like gold. I'll usually prefer to just take a position on the higher time frame. The reason that we didn't do that with this particular trade for Euro is because of the fact that if we did that, the risk reward is going to be like garbage. Like we're talking what 30 pip stop loss, 1 to 2 maybe, and all the way at like this low from Tuesday versus the initial position, which if we go back, I think this is probably like 4 behind. Let's see. Yeah, 4. We had the 3 most recent ones. We're still in here. This technically on TradingView got invalidated, but we accounted for spread and miraculously somehow are still in the trade. I'm still in this trade. Maybe you guys aren't. If you aren't, you know, that's kind of tough, but hopefully you accounted for spread, right? That's what I said before, we took the trade. Okay. So I'm praying, I'm hoping for you guys. You accounted for spread because if you didn't, like this barely invalidated, like literally less than a full pip, like 0.9, like pip 9 pipettes or whatever it's called, pipettes. So I mean, technically on paper, invalidated setup, but we're still in it because we accounted for spread and we didn't close early. And if you're not in it, don't worry, don't chase the trade. I mean, this is, again, it's going to defeat the purpose of, entering on a smaller time frame because it'll damage your risk to reward ratio. So I wouldn't go break even yet, again, just because of spread. If you wanted to maybe trail your stop loss to like this high, you could, but I'm honestly, I'm not going to go break even yet on Euro. Yeah, I'm not really looking to go break even until we hit TP2, which is like we get a full. This is a penguin, guys. Oh my gosh. Hold on. This is like prime textbook example of a penguin. Okay. We were talking about this at the beginning of the session. This is literally a penguin right here. What we're seeing. I'm literally like, I'm not even joking. We talked about this. Okay. This is the penguin right here. You got his feet, you got his body, you know. This is a beautiful penguin right here. Okay. So jokes aside, the TP prices that we're using on this particular setup are on screen. You can see them. But the main TP that I have would be at these lows, these two relatively equal lows. So this is, 115, 520, we'll say. 115, 520 would be like my TP area. I think I have mine is set at 115, 530, accounting for spread on my MT5. What about the hammer and magnet? Honestly, man, I think the penguin's going to be enough. Um, we'll just leave him here, little guy. But you know, should we throw on the hammer and the magnet, you guys? What do you think? I do remember that in Miami. Is there demand for the hammer and magnet here, ladies and gentlemen? What do you guys think? This thing's tweaking out. It's going to keep tweaking out until we get candle closure. Trading is boring, Donnie. It's the penguin. The penguin is really doing it, man. Definitely. Definitely. You like the penguin, just the penguin? Okay. I mean, it's doing its thing so far. The penguin is the equivalent of, you know, um, the hammer and magnet, to be honest. The penguin's OP as fuck, to be honest. So, you know, now would be a good time for us to adjust stop loss to break even. All right. I'm going to trail my stop to 115,850. So this is like slightly higher than entry price for me. My entry is at 115,830. And we might just see this thing smack TP because of the penguin, honestly. TP3 is what we're looking for. I'm not partialing at current price. If you want to partial, you can. Um, but add a little lightning. All right. I got you, Thomas. This is just for you, man. This is the Revolt Lightning Bolt. I wish you could get like a border. You know what I mean? Like a border, like an outline of this would be kind of cool. So yeah, man, I trailed stop to 115,850. Ideally we see a run on these lows before we get a a solid pullback that would bring us back, back to that price. I think if we were to get a, retracement to 115,850 right now before taking these lows, that it would be an invalid setup. So it'd be good for us to have trailed the stop. Um, but with that being considered, maybe we just fill the 830 wick because there was no wick to the downside. We literally just flew at 830 with NFP. Maybe this thing retraces and continues higher into the fair value gap, in which case we'll just look for another inversion. But this should be a pretty clean setup that goes right to TP, to be honest. This is like looking pretty classic for, an inversion that plays out. That's crazy. Do you think gold will sweep Tuesday's low from here? Maybe, man. I don't know. I honestly, for gold, we could definitely sweep Tuesday's low. I would be leaning more towards just these lows, to be honest. And this thing's playing out nicely too. I kind of wish we took the shorts on this as well, but we can't be in every trade at once. Um, this would have been clean, man. This would be a banger, to be honest. This was that full TP 1 and 2 smacked already on this, and then Euro. I mean, this is just the penguin in action, man. This is like just beautiful, beautiful penguin price action, man. Let me get an alert on this low here. I want to know when we actually take out this low. That's when we can be celebrating and shouting out the penguin for real. But Goldilocks pulling this back up. Yeah, I mean gold, we could see Tuesday's low taken from here. I wouldn't be surprised. But for me, it's like I'm always looking for the lowest hanging fruit. Not to, okay, I shouldn't say like looking for the lowest hanging fruit, because the lowest hanging fruit on gold probably would have been like this low. This would be like the low I would go break even at if I was in sells. If any of you guys took this sell, I mean, you're laughing right now. This thing's up like 250 pips. Um, but for me, it's like these would be my lows to actually like close at, because they're right above previous point of interest on like the 5 minute, and it wouldn't necessarily require as much gas in the tank as what it would require for us to take Tuesday's low. So although Tuesday's low is on the table and we could see that, when I'm taking trades, I want to look for what is likely to be the most plausible scenario, So for me, it's like these lows, easy lows to capture from Friday, easy lows to capture from Thursday, during the, New York session, right? It's easy liquidity for us to capture without us necessarily needing to see a stretch another 500 pips from there to the lows at like 5K or whatever it was, right? Oh, beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the full TP on Euro USD. All right, so this is what we're going to do, okay? This is what we're going to do. Shout out to Thomas for saying to add the lightning bolt. Clearly that worked as well. But this is what we're going to do, okay? Because we got to pay some homage to the penguin, because that was all the penguin. And if you took gold shorts, you are laughing right now. Question in the chat: Does Euro USD and gold always move the same direction? No, not usually. I wouldn't look at them as correlating pairs. So y'all took gold shorts without me, man? Come on, bro. You guys are making me feel like y'all should be running the session and not me. You guys took the gold shorts, didn't you? Who took gold shorts without me, man? Let me know in the chat box. Marlon's like, gold. Gold. Mm. Okay. Took Euro though? All right, amazing. Great. So this is what we're going to do. Okay. In the chat in a second, because I'm going to take a video for this, and we got to kind of meme it. All right, we gotta meme this. All right, because it's kind of a meme, you know. The Penguin did the hard work here. All right, so we gotta. When I say not right now, but I need you guys to just go ballistic in the chat, dropping penguins. Like I'm talking, you nonstop are dropping penguins like crazy until we're done recording the video. All right, because we got to pay homage to the Penguin here. This was all the Penguin. Okay. Full smack, full smack TP. All three smashed. If you closed early because you saw price invalidate the initial setup, you wouldn't have been rewarded for holding. If you did hold and you counted for spread, as I was mentioning, we caught this whole move 1 to 3. Banger. A little bit less than a 1 to 3 because we accounted for spread. So I'm going to record now. Okay. Y'all can start the Penguin spam because this is, W setup. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't jump on the NFP session today, you missed out on something very special and unique. Okay. We caught this trade on Euro USD, which I'm about to show y'all, and you're going to see the Penguin being paid homage. All right. You got to give respect where it's due, man. The chat box is going crazy with the Penguin spam. All right. The Penguin, this is, y'all don't understand, man. The Penguin is like a whole nother level of confirmation, but we got the Penguins going crazy on Zoom. Let's see what the YouTube chat's doing. We got penguins. Penguins on the YouTube chat as well, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but we love to see it, man. This is a pretty textbook setup. We accounted for spread here, which actually saved us from being hit out on this. And then this was full TP3 smacked on Euro. And then a few of the lads and lasses on the session. Some of the guys and gals also took gold shorts, which played out pretty nicely as well from this inversion. All right, amazing. There we go. Big shout out to the Penguin spammers, man. Y'all made that video for real. Okay, cool. So somebody asked in the YouTube chat, and we'll stay on here for another like 10, 15 minutes, and I'm gonna wrap up with you guys because I'm done trading for the day. I took Euro, I'm done. I'm done. I'm literally not gonna take another trade for the rest of today. That's all you need. If you took gold, I'm jealous. I'm gonna be honest, because the full TP on gold for this would be these lows for me. And if you wanted to hold to Thursday's lows, you could, because we're likely to take out both. It's going to be like a 150 pip difference. But if you're in sells on gold, definitely break even on this shit. Okay. 100% break even on this. Partial at these lows, you can maybe hold full TP to like 50-ish. And again, I wouldn't be opposed to even looking for potential buys from here, but I'm personally done for the day. That's all I needed. Euro, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to stay on the charts, live on the charts, and force another setup unnecessarily. But somebody asked in the YouTube channel, we'll do Q&A for the next little bit. I love the Penguin spam on YouTube, man. Let's go. Let's go. You guys are firing me up. Somebody asked in the chat, what is SMT? SMT stands for Smart Money Technique. It's basically just another way of referring to divergence. So when we have two correlating pairs that are doing slightly different things from one another, that is referred to as an SMT. Okay. So for example, if we actually take a look at Euro USD and GBP USD right now, they are technically divergent in real time. And we took profit at an area where we're seeing an SMT, which is also something to consider. When you have SMT and you're in a position, you usually want to close if you're seeing the other pair doing something different than the pair you're currently in a trade on. For us, it just worked out favorably for this SMT. But if we pull up two charts side by side that are correlating, for example, GBP USD and Euro USD right now, both on the same time frame, okay, if we take a look at this, you can see Euro USD on the left-hand side is created a lower low, whereas GU is currently creating a higher low, right? And you can even take it from this low too, the most recent low. So this is an example of an SMT, Smart Money Technique. It's when you have manipulation on one of the pairs that's seeing a liquidity capture, whereas the other one isn't. This pair would be stronger than this one. and we took shorts on the weaker pair ultimately, which was euro, and we got rewarded for taking shorts on euro, which we kind of acknowledged as the weaker pair from even before the NFP release. So that's hopefully that makes sense for SMT. You ideally want to use SMT as an additional confirmation. It's not like the main thing that you're looking for to take a trade. It's more or less just an additional confluence. It's a tertiary confirmation. And so when we take a look at divergence can be used to justify an entry. It can be used to justify an exit as well. So for us, we had TP set just at these lows, on Euro USD. Okay. I'm out of the trade, by the way. My spread was accounted for with this exit. I had my exit at like 155.32, which accounted for spread and closed pretty much right at this low. Okay, because I think I have like I can't remember the exact spread that I have on my broker. But if I didn't have a TP set and I saw this, I would probably be inclined to close my trade because we're seeing divergence between EU and GU, where GU is creating a higher low here, Euro is creating a lower low. So I would probably close the trade because that could be enough for a reversal. And I want to obviously be, out of the trade and profit and not see this thing reverse and go against me ultimately. Because again, divergence, and if we look this up in the Smart Money Dictionary, which it's in, okay, the Institutional Trading Dictionary, which for those of you that are seeing this that don't have access to this, you can just DM me the word dictionary on Instagram. This is my Instagram. I'll drop it in the Zoom chat for anybody that's here. But SMT is in the dictionary, and divergence is also in the dictionary. Wait, is SMT in the dictionary? Yeah, SMT divergence. Here we go. So you can read over this and just have a little bit of a better understanding of what a divergence is. And there's key patterns and there's like a whole breakdown of what SMT is. So this is something you can look into in the Institutional Trading Dictionary. Again, if you don't have this, this is free. It's accessible to anybody. Just DM me the word dictionary on my IG. Just the word dictionary, and it'll automatically send over this this template. Or not template, but the, dictionary in real time. And then when you're here, if you want to save this, you want to come back to it, you won't be able to download it. You won't be able to share it. You won't be able to do anything other than number one, print, or number two, go into file on Google Docs and you can click add shortcut to Drive. That way you can constantly just come back to the most up-to-date version of the Institutional Trading Dictionary because I do add terms and new verbiage to this over time. Right. And we have this in Romanian and Spanish as well. So if you want it in Romanian, if you want it in Spanish, we have that. And yeah, you can consider that for other languages. The automation, if you DM me the word dictionary, is just for the English version, by the way. So it's not going to, give you the Romanian or Spanish version, but if you need that upon special request, we can send that to you as well. Okay, cool, man. We'll do a few more minutes of Q&A. You guys let me know in the chat. We're pretty much done. We're done trading for the day. So if you got another session to go on to, I think Cohen's live inside of Primeverse right now. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he's live. Yeah, Cohen's live. So if you want to continue doing some live trading, you can jump on with him. If you're not inside the Primeverse community and you'd like to be, we do live calls on a regular basis like the one we just did today. And a whole bunch of other educators do sessions on a regular basis inside the community. You're welcome to join and be a part of the community. You can reach out to whoever invited you to this call, and we'll get you some more info. We just came out with Prime Sync, which is literally semi-automated for our trade ideas. So you get a trade idea, you swipe, and it automatically executes and enters you into a trade, and it's free to use. A lot of other network marketing trading companies charge for the same thing, hundreds of dollars a month. We get it for free inside of Primeverse. In fact, everything inside of Primeverse is free. So it's kind of a no-brainer, all right? Unless you're from the States or a handful of other places that we currently do not offer, support with, you should probably consider joining the community if you're not a part of Primeverse already. Is there a reason why it takes so long for Prime Sync to be approved? Yeah, because we're manually going through and approving batches of 10, 15, 20, 100 people at a time. And there's literally thousands of people that have obviously applied for Prime Sync, and we're trying not to overload the server. That's the main reason why it's taking a little bit of time. So just hang tight. You'll be accepted. If you're waiting approval, just hang tight. And yeah, yeah, you can hang tight and you will be approved. Okay, let me see. Any other questions in the chat that I missed? You're a great teacher, bro. Smooth explanations. Thanks for your work. I appreciate that, Derek. Appreciate that, man. I'm glad that my education resonates with you, bro. Should we still look up for the sell limit on BTC? Good question. I would say no, given that we're already seeing price sell off. I mean, you could set an alert on this. We could see this over the weekend, but I would say, we actually didn't get really any reaction with NFP like at all. We got like a little bit of one bullishly. We would have wanted to see like a full-on spike into this area, and we just didn't get it. So, you know, um, yeah, I would just kind of set an alert up here and see what happens. Like set an alert maybe at like these highs. So this is like 71,500. Penguins for the win. I'm back to the Penguins spam. Let's go. Let's see. All right, I don't think I'm not gonna scroll through all the Penguins to see if there's any other questions up there. Question on equity. Does equity not include for Prime Sync? No, no, it does. So if you have, let's say, an $800 deposit and you got a $200 bonus, that counts towards the $1,000 requirement as the bare minimum to use Prime Sync. Yeah, that counts. That counts. Let me check out the YouTube chat if there's any questions in the YouTube chat. Where can I watch the NFP? Well, I mean, you were on the NFP if you dropped that question. I don't know what you mean by that. What entry indicator is that, if I may ask? This is the indicator that we used alongside the Penguin, because the Penguin, again, this was a very key component of this trade. You can't forget. All right, the indicator was one thing. The Penguin was a whole nother thing. This is really a result of the Penguin, to be honest. But this indicator is one that I built. And by the way, the indicator is currently down. It's not accessible. I'll have a solution. I don't know what the solution is going to look like, but I'll have a solution for you guys in the future. Can you guys let me know in the chat? Do you guys still have access to this? Does anybody still have access to this? Can you guys take a look right now and confirm if you said yes? Marlon, can you take a look and see? Because from yesterday, I don't think any new people can be added to it, but I believe if you had it before, you should still have it. Yes, 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 yes. Mine's working. Okay, okay, good, good. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be finding a solution to indicator access, because uh I ran into a challenge with TradingView um that I'm gonna resolve. I'm just gonna be creative in resolving it. So they actually hid the entire indicator, and no new people can get access to it. Um, because I was like, you know, apparently I was like promoting. Well, I was promoting, from the script, and you're not allowed to promote. So I mean, I wasn't really promoting. I was just giving instructions on how to access the indicator, but it was like it went against their house rules. I got like a whole message here from Pine Coders. They're like, "Yo, you can't do this." So I have to remake the indicator, make it fully compliantly according to the rules, and then I have to re-add everybody again. So I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not doing that until the end of March, because this phase of the beta is on until the end of March anyways. This is V2. So if you have access, great. If you're applying for access, you won't actually be added, because I don't think I can add you. I don't think you can access the indicator anymore. Because if you go to here, for example, right, this is the link to the indicator. Let me actually go from a private window and show you guys what it looks like. This is what comes up now. So they fully like took it down basically. So if you have access to it, never delete it off your chart because if you do, it might be gone forever. But if you would like access to the inverse or value gap indicator and you don't have access right now, at the end of March, we'll be opening up the third version and the third phase of beta testing. And yeah, Derek, you know what? Because that's something I know you mentioned before as well. If you don't mind submitting um, a feedback form and just sharing that, that would be great. Let me drop this in the chat. And you guys, whoever has been using the indicator, if you have any sort of feedback, please do share it with the job form I'm about to share because it helps the devs and us actually make the changes that you guys want to ultimately see. Um, so it helps a lot sharing feedback. Just constructive feedback. We're not really looking for like positive feedback because we just want to look for ways to make the indicator better ultimately. So if you want to share, and please don't, let me be very clear because I did this before and just a bunch of people just submitted the form requesting access. This is not the requesting access form, to be very clear. So do not submit your request for access using this form. This is a feedback form. So use it for feedback only. It's funny because like even though I say that in the form, it's just yeah. Anyways, so if you have feedback, please submit it in the form, and that way we'll keep track of everybody's submissions. So, like for example, Derek, that request would be I'd greatly appreciate if you could just throw that in the feedback form. And yeah, my prime sync is over 1,000 equity, but does not give me the bonus equity. You mean like the $1,000 that it shows in prime sync? It doesn't account for or include the equity? Is that what you mean, Eric? Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you have the floating equity, you're good. It's always going to show your balance. Your balance will always be what shows, right? Um, so so yeah. All right, let me check out the YouTube chat here. Can't find your indicator on TradingView. Yeah. It's because they took it down, unfortunately. Still have no idea. Yeah, if you don't have it, I would just say hang tight until the end of March. When I create the new version, I can add you guys to it, and I'll make sure that it's by the books. Didn't manage to get access to the new IFEG indicator. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. It's I literally can't. I don't think I can add anybody to it in the current form. Um, unfortunately, because the indicator's been hidden. So we're just gonna have to hang tight until the end of March. What would you recommend to start with Prime saying I know 1,000 is minimum? What would you suggest? Um, I would say it's totally dependent on like where you're at personally, right? If you have a savings account of $10,000, I would probably, no word of a lie, throw like 5K at it because your money that's sitting in a savings account is doing nothing. If you allocate 5,000 to Prime Sync, obviously past performance does not guarantee future results, all that good stuff, disclaimers, trading involves risk, da da da, whatever. But we as a signal provider team, and I'll pull this up and I'll show you guys on screen. The all-time results that we've had since the beginning of January, and PrimeSync is automated trading, right? It's semi-automated or fully automated in the future. These are the results. Okay, if we go to the actual report, this is what we're working with in terms of the results, the working results from the very beginning of the year. So 14 different traders. All right, this is the all-time stats. So 80% win rate, 482 signals. All right, these are the numbers. And there might be a few, because when we first started with tracking, there was like a few hiccups. So these numbers might be slightly off, but in terms of how they're being tracked. But generally, like I think we're missing some of the results from all these signals. Like I don't think this number adds up to 482. I'm like certain it doesn't add up to 482, and that's because of some testing we were doing at the very beginning. But generally speaking, this is fairly on point in terms of consistency. So all that to say, if you are in a position where you have capital to deploy, I would deploy it on PrimeSync. Not all of it. Okay, be wise. You never want to put all your eggs in one basket. But if you're, like I said, if you're sitting on like 10K in a savings account, maybe you don't do 5K. Maybe 5K is too much, right? Maybe you do 3K. You know, like I would reasonably say like 30% of my savings allocated to PrimeSync makes sense. Not because of anything else other than it's just going to be collecting dust in a savings account anyways. I'd rather it be in a trading account that I can withdraw from whenever I need to, and that is in a position to continue growing consistently from all the educator trade ideas that I'm able to take. Right now, it's not fully automated, right? Eventually, in the future, it will be like fully automated trading. So it's like as soon as we send out a signal, it's automatically executing for you and being managed for you. But at least right now, it's semi-automated. You get a signal, boom, you swipe, you're in the trade. It's splitting your risk using the right, lot size for you automatically, which is it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's what I'd say. Hopefully that answers your question on YouTube. Is a good question, but that's what I would recommend. That's what I would say. Do third world countries have a lower entry? Oh, you mean like lower minimum? No, unfortunately, the minimum is not based on anything other than just risk management. $1,000 is the minimum because of the fact that if you're using anything less, those signals are just not going to be executed to the way that they're meant to. And you won't be in a position to reap the benefit that PrimeSync offers if it's, less than 1,000. So there's not going to be like a lower entry for anywhere else. Just for the sole reason that it's based on optimized settings for risk management specifically. Notifications will not come through on the website for PrimeSync. Yeah, you want to make sure that so from your phone, you've set up PrimeSync. You want it to be on your phone. So you can add it to your home screen on your phone, which is pretty cool. And that's what I would recommend to do. And then you can manage notifications from your phone, and you can actually take the trades from your phone. Yeah, it's including its equity, Orneal. So the bonus is accounted for and included um, in the consideration for $1,000 minimum. Do we have access to PrimeSync reports, Donnie? You mean like these reports? This is something that I can generate as a signal provider whenever needed. So this is like all-time results. But this isn't something that you could generate unless you're a signal provider. But we've been sharing these fairly regularly, like at least once a month. So like we could take a look at, for example, the last 30 days, right? And I can generate this report and it'll show the last 30 days of performance from, I don't think it actually gives the specific dates, but yeah. So this isn't something that you could generate yourself, but this is something that I can generate. And then from PrimeSync, you can actually see the stats. You can see the stats from the PrimeSync app. Like you can see the stats of the signal providers from the PrimeSync app, which is pretty cool too. Cool. Where can I see the reports? So they should be. I don't think they're posting them in the Telegram. I think they're posting them in actually, they might only be posting it for IBs. I'm not sure that they've been posting it for everybody to see. Um, but But if you want to like see the individual months, like I can generate them and send them to you if you want. Will I still get a bonus when I create a second account for PrimeSync? Yes. The bonus amount will just be dependent on what you've already used. So if you use like 100% deposit bonus before, you only get that once. But I think you get like 20% on every other deposit after that. So you'll get a 20% deposit bonus. Do you do personal mentorship? Yeah. So right now, I haven't been offering, you mean like paid mentorship, Thomas? Like some sort of like one-to-one mentorship? Yeah. Yeah, so I've done paid mentorship before, and it's something that I'm planning on doing a little bit later on this year again. If you wanted to book like just a one-off one-on-one call, you could. And I can send the info in the chat for you if you want to consider doing that. Let me pull this up here, but I'll actually have like a full-on like 3 to 6 month offer that I'll be doing one-on-one with people later on this year. So for those of you that are interested in like more hands-on personal mentorship, not just like group calls and stuff inside of Primeverse for free, that'll be available. But for right now, the only thing that I really have to offer is just like one-on-one, one-off calls. And this is the link in the chat box if you want to consider doing that. You could read into the details there. And then just so that you guys are aware of as well, like what that call entails, it's basically we would be, having a conversation, kind of seeing where you're at, addressing the things that you feel like you need some more support with, whether that's entry strategy, exit strategy, trading plan, back to the basics, whatever the case may be. And then leaving that call, you get up to 5 different recordings that I would just handpick and send to you from my vault. So for example, if let's say, your main thing you felt like you were wanting to work on was like your entry strategy, right? And having a refined entry strategy. There would be 5 different recordings, up to 5 different recordings that I would send you to support you on that point, leaving the call in addition to what we do on the call, if that makes sense. So you get access to like vaulted recordings that not really anybody else has access to, but that I would just handpick and send to you according to, what I feel like would resonate and help you in the best way, leaving that call as well. So it's not like a just one and done thing. It's like we'll do the call, we'll have the conversation, we'll, do some mentorship on the actual session, but then you also get some trainings to leave that call with, which is kind of cool, which is kind of nice. And then when we do an actual program, like a full-on program that will be like in a group, but including one-to-one support for like a 3 or 6 month period, that'll be a higher ticket offer. That'll probably be minimum $3,000 for a period of 3 months, probably 5,000 for a period of 6 months. And that would be like every single week we're connecting one-to-one. Every single week we're connecting in a group setting as well for all the people that are a part of the mentorship. And I would probably only be able to take on like maximum 15 to 20 people. So that'll be later on this year, but that's something that I've been thinking about, something I've been considering. But for now, we're just, really focused on PrimeSync, focused on Primeverse, focused on, doing these free educational sessions. And then if people, feel called to do paid mentorship, they can do like a one-on-one call as a one-off. And then in the future, we'll have like a more structured program. So you can look forward to that for sure. For sure, for sure. Where I'll be doing only the best mentorship and even more tips and tricks, just like the penguin, man. Just like the penguin. This is the real sauce right here. The penguin, you know. But yeah, guys, cool. Any final questions, comments, observations before we wrap up the session? I'm probably gonna wrap up. I think I was supposed to wrap up at like 10 after 9. We're still going. You guys have some good questions, man. So, but any final thoughts, questions, anything you guys want to clear up, clarify before we call it for the weekend? Why is Cohen's room always full? Yeah, all of our Zooms, the Zooms that we're using independently, like most of them cap out at 100 or 300 people. So it's very often that we're reaching capacity on Zoom calls, but we're going to be starting as soon as next week. I mean, we were considering starting it this week. I think we're going to be starting it next week. We're going to be doing live sessions directly inside of Primeverse which there will be no capacity caps. So you'll basically be in a position where you can tune in and there will be no limit to how many people can join, which will be nice. I know that's going to be greatly appreciated for my sessions, Cohen sessions, and all the other educators as well. So yeah, being early and not let in, I know it's it's like, what the heck, man? You're supposed to get rewarded for showing up early, right? And you're like, dang, I still can't get in the call. So that'll be resolved in due time. We're doing a few educators. They're going to be rolling out like the first few live sessions inside of Primeverse as like kind of beta testing it. But it should be pretty smooth sailing, to be honest. The one thing I'm hoping for is that we can share computer audio so we can like jam out and listen to some tunes at the beginning. Because it would be a little bit awkward if we couldn't do that. I would just like put on a timer and be like, all right, guess we're just going to be in silence for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. So hopefully we can share computer audio as well. But yeah. Donnie, are you sending signals on Telegram? I am. I'm rarely doing it though. Most of the time we're just doing live trading like on these sessions. Um, which we've been like, we've been crushing it on the Wednesday live trading sessions. And even today too. Like today was great. But we've been pretty consistently crushing it on Wednesdays. This past Wednesday, we had like a partial and then a break even. The Wednesday before, we had a full TP3 smashed literally like while I was on the road in Orlando. And we also had a banger on the Sunday, market outlook last week as well, I'm pretty sure. Or not last week. Was it last week? Not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. Yeah, I think we had a banger from Sunday. I can't quite remember, but anyways, we've been consistently crushing it on these live sessions, doing trading and outlook. So that's been my main focus, more than sending actual signals on PV Trade Insights. One thing that would be great, and maybe one of you would be open to doing this, and I'd have to like get clearance from the team and stuff. But if we could have somebody that commits to being on all my sessions, that sends out the ideas that I send or share on these sessions live to the PV Trade Insights, that would be cool. Because then everybody can capitalize on them, not just, you guys that are on the session. Because it's tricky for me to be taking the trade myself, sharing it with you guys, and also sending it to the PV Trade Insights when a lot of the times we're taking these trades and they're like 1 minute, 3 minute setups, you know. So I do send ideas to the PV Trade Insights chat. I think we're 3 for 3 so far. I don't think I've lost a single trade that's been sent out, and they've all ran for full TP as well on PV Trade Insights. But maybe in the future we can have some sort of a system in place where it's like when I'm sharing it live on session, someone's able to send it and forward it to PV Trade Insights. That would be kind of cool. Actually, I would be really interested in exploring that idea. So if anybody's, I don't know, I'd have to get clearance from the team and stuff because you would have to have like admin access to send an idea. So we'll have to chew on that idea and see what we can work out. But cool guys. All right, awesome, man. Well, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up for today. 9:30 market open just now for indices. If you're gonna continue trading today, trade safe, trade responsibly. Don't give away your profit back to the market maker. All right. If you're up on the day, you could consider doing what I'm doing, which is just calling it for the day and, gonna go make some brunch now, or not brunch, breakfast, I guess. Not quite a brunch hour yet, but yeah, guys, much love. We'll be back on Sunday for Market Outlook, 6 p.m. Eastern time inside of Primeverse. And yeah, everybody have a fantastic weekend. Much love. See you all next week, man.